Hey everyone, how you guys doing today? Hope you all are doing well. I personally am doing pretty good. Just on the hunt as usual for console peasants saying stupid things, and I think I found potentially the best Sony pony yet. So get ready everyone, because today we're going to be debunking Almighty Rated D's 101 reasons to buy a PS5 and toss your console in the gutter. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm your host Rated D, and I've got the most cinematic gaming channel on YouTube. And in this video, I'm going to go to a place that very few content creators are willing to go. And that's because of the amount of hate that you get for touching this subject. So I'm already prepared for all the dislikes I'm going to get from the PC fanboys, but I'm still going to go ahead and make this video because I'm a principled individual. And this video is going to be 101 reasons for why you should ditch that gaming PC and go ahead and buy a PlayStation 5. So let's get started. Number 1, the amount of options. You see, when it comes to PC gaming, there's just too much to choose from, and it can be honestly daunting. Not only is there too much to choose from, but because there's so much to choose from, there are a ton of different things that can go wrong for you. And so you might think you need to replace one part, but in reality it's something totally different that's the problem. It's just too much to deal with, and with consoles, you don't have to deal with that type of nonsense. Number 2.
So I can see the point he's trying to make with this, and it really isn't a bad one. However, one can get rid of these overwhelming amount of options by asking someone who is knowledgeable about this topic, that topic being PC gaming of course, or by doing some simple research in order to get what they want, or know what they should get. It really isn't that hard. Just do your research and you'll be good, but clearly doing research isn't this guy's strong suit.
No good exclusives. I mean honestly, when it comes to exclusives, what do you have on PC? You don't have Uncharted, you don't have God of War, you don't have Killzone, you don't have The Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima. You don't have any of this type of stuff. So people can sit there and talk about, oh, we have all these different exclusives that are like $2 Steam games, but nobody cares.
What do you even have on PlayStation? Open world action adventure story driven third person games? Something that has been done countless times before? Now don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad thing and it clearly works. However, on PC, indie games are common and rampant, which encourages people to create more unique and different types of games and different experiences. Also, we can talk about how you have whole genres missing from your platform, like MOBAs or RTSs, which, whether you like it or not, are big and important to gaming in general. It's some of the biggest genres of esports. I keep going on, but it's all stuff that's been said before by many different people.
Number 3. The games on PC may be at 4K resolutions, but they look like PS2 games. You know, and now they're starting to, some of them are starting to reach PS3 level visuals. You see, I don't care if Uncharted 4 runs at 30 frames per second. I don't care if Ghost of Tsushima runs at 30 frames per second, as long as these games look good. I don't want to sit there and play some game that looks like it came out in the year 2000 with outdated gameplay at that, and play that at 4K. Like, who cares to see that? It doesn't matter.
What the hell are you going on about, dude? Can you show me one game on PC that's come out within the past 5 years, whether multi-platform or just PC exclusive, that had a professional team behind it that looked worse than games on the PS4? This point just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. PC devs have more power and tech to work with, meaning they can make games render in more objects, textures, animations, etc. To translate for you, this means better graphics.
Number 4. The PC gaming community is just plain terrible. I mean, it's really awful. These people are self-entitled losers who feel the need to bash on everyone else because my rig is so powerful. Look, dude, nobody cares about your rig, okay? This isn't some sort of thing where, you know, you're supposed to be showing off to other people over the internet. Like, who cares, dude? So the PC gamers, they're not accepting at all. Just a terrible community.
Yeah guys, the console community, especially the PlayStation community, is so much better than us. spreading misinformation about their platform and any opposing platforms, bragging and belittling people because they have exclusives, except, oh wait, that isn't the entire community, those are only the console peasants, and everything you just described only applies to the PC elitists, which no one in the community likes. And they are an incredibly small minority, so acting like they make up the entire community is just being plain ignorant.
Number 5. Sony cares about gaming and brings us great games. Meanwhile, PC is all about microtransactions, and you've seen this. When it comes to PlayStation, what do you get? You get developers that care. You get managers that care. And that's how you get amazing games. Amazing, revolutionary games like what we've had on PlayStation. And that's exactly what you're going to get going forward on PlayStation 5. But with PC, all you have is all these games where it's like, oh please, pay $1 to get this new skin or this new gun. Like, that's just not, nobody likes that. You know what I mean? And that's what PC gaming is all about. It's all about microtransactions.
Yeah, everyone, Sony is so amazing. Like, remember that time they didn't allow crossplay to their platforms, even though everyone else wanted it because they believed it wasn't profitable? Remember when they released their shitty PS Now service just so emulation be illegal on PC, but the service itself was actually horrible? The fact they require you to pay to play games online with your friends? Yeah guys, they care so much for the average consumer. Also, microtransactions are not only a problem on PC. With PC, there are a lot more free-to-play games that require them in order to stay up and running. And while yes, there are some bad examples of greedy devs, like with Valorant for instance, not every dev is like this, and PlayStation games had their fair share of garbage too, especially the case of multi-platform games like Call of Duty, and really any game that had microtransactions implemented poorly within the last 4 or 5 years.
Number 6. The PlayStation 5 as a console looks amazing. It looks futuristic, and it makes your entertainment setup stand out in a classy way. It's like your house is a spaceship or something. But PCs just look nerdy. I mean, who cares to look at a tower? Who cares, honestly?
You really thought you did something here, huh? The PS5, the console that is literally a PS4 stuffed into a binder, how are you going to call that futuristic and not nerdy, but these PCs here that objectively look better than it are nerdy? Sounds like someone has a bias, but I think we all know that was pretty obvious.
It's just embarrassing. Number 7. That racist YouTuber PewDiePie plays on PC. Meanwhile, us Sony gamers, we're diverse. We're accepting of all people. Number 8. Nobody cares about the PC gaming shows at E3. Nobody cares. Who watches that trash? And it's more of those same types of games I brought up earlier where they look like they should run on a PlayStation 2 that came out in, 2000 with outdated gameplay. Like, nobody cares, dude. When we watch E3 or some of these other gaming shows, we want to see where gaming is going forward, how gaming is progressing. We don't care to see this outdated trash.
Wait, what the fuck? PewDiePie making a few whoopsies means that the entire platform and everyone in it is racist? How are you going to say that when some clips that contain the most toxic and racist voice chats ever are taken from games on PlayStation? And I can guarantee a lot of racists play on PlayStation. There's a lot of racists on every platform, as a matter of fact. This is either a troll or you're just reaching super hard. Probably the latter though, given by the rest of this video.
Number 9. If you don't game on PlayStation, and I should also throw Nintendo in this, if you don't game on PlayStation or Nintendo, then you're racist against Japanese people. And we've seen a lot of that type of prejudice coming from the Xbox fanboys since the Xbox One released. So why would you expect anything different from PC gamers?
Okay, well firstly, a lot of the multi-platform games that will be coming to PC are usually shown off during one of the main consoles conferences, meaning the PC conference is going to give the spotlight to indie games and games from smaller dev teams that are exclusive to PC. Also, once again, graphics don't make a game everything, and trying to compare graphics on games that were developed by way smaller teams with smaller budgets to massive budgeted games made by big teams on PlayStation is just silly.
Number 10. With PlayStation, you have a simple, clean experience. One cord from the console to the power outlet, one cable, an HDMI cable, from the console to the television. That's it. Consoles are simple, and the PlayStation is as simple as it gets, while also being a very powerful system.
Jesus Christ, man, you are really reaching at this point. There really isn't anything to say here. It's not racist to play on PC, it's just having a preference.
Number 11. PC gamers are criminals that pirate games. We know the reputation PC gamers have for being pirates. This is nothing new. I mean, what was it? Ubisoft said something like, I think it was 80 to 90% of all games on PC, of all Ubisoft games on PC that are played by, people that pirated those games. So this is nothing new, and I remember Crysis 2 was pirated like crazy back in 2011. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? These PC gamers, they're criminals. They deserve to get locked up.
Okay, so this argument is like actually one of the very few invalid ones, but he phrases it completely wrong. So yes, PlayStation does use less cables and cords, but that's all he's right in. For me personally, all I have to do is plug my PC in my monitor and outlet, and then plug in my mic, headset, keyboard, and mouse, and then I'm all good. So yeah, I have to plug in 4 extra things. The platform sucks, guys. But in all seriousness, he would have been correct or onto something if he said that the consoles take up less space, because that would have been true. He would have been very true on that part, because consoles are usually smaller than PCs unless they're micro builds, and you have to use less peripherals. But no, of course, he had to shoot himself in the foot and invalidate his own point.
Number 12. PlayStation 5 can be played in the living room on the couch. You don't have to sit there all uncomfortable, hunched over, ruining your posture to play on mouse and keyboard. You don't need to do that with a console like PlayStation.
Wow, alright, that's a pretty bold claim. Can I get some sources for that Ubisoft statement? Because with how many games they released that are multiplayer require an online connection, I certainly doubt it. Also, you're once again saying that a minority is a majority. Not every PC player is a pirate, and while yes, there are some out there that do pirate games, the amount is far from quote-unquote everyone.
Number 13. Your gaming PC is too big to take with you when you're moving, so you have to sell it at a loss before you move. It's just too much of a hassle to take that thing with you, that rig of yours.
I have said this before, and it's pretty common knowledge, but I'll say it again. You can hook a PC up to your living room TV, sit on your couch, and use a controller or a wireless keyboard and mouse. It doesn't require that much brain power. Also, learning how to keep a straight back will prevent you from ruining your posture, so you should remember that.
Number 14. The PlayStation 5 SSD is revolutionary, and we've already heard developers talk about just how big a deal this is. I mean, this is going to allow us to have incredible new experiences. And you don't have that on PC, do you? No, Epic already said you don't.
Wow, this is so blatantly untrue that it hurts. You honestly should have just stuck with the top 10 reason as to why the PS5 is better, because God, you were reaching. But no, PCs are not too big to be moved. Everyone knows this in a discussion.
Number 15. PC-only developers have no talent. I mean, let's just be honest here. Are you going to sit there and talk about, one of these indie games that looks like it's a PS2 game and try to say that the talent of that studio is on the level of, Sucker Punch or Naughty Dog? You can't say that with a straight face. I mean, come on. Guerrilla Games, Sony Santa Monica, the list goes on and on. Insomniac.
Wow, SSDs. You mean the component that PC gamers have been using for over half a decade commonly now, and have been around since 1991? Also, Epic was saying that purely to hype up the PS5, as there are better SSDs that you can find in gaming machines. It's more common than you think.
Number 16. PlayStation 5 has backwards compatibility, but you need to break laws to play these types of games on PC. If you want to play some of these old games, you're going to have to get an emulator, and you're going to have to go ahead and break some laws to play those games on PC. Whereas with PlayStation 5, we can just boot up Bloodborne and not worry about that.
Actually, yes, I would say the devs behind these indie games have more talent because they're able to create more unique and diverse gaming experiences, usually from scratch. And when you have less people to work with and less money, that's definitely talent, and it's definitely impressive. and that's something that PlayStation especially lacks. A lot of the games they come out with, or a lot of these big exclusives that people hype up, are usually made by massive studios that have a lot of people. And I'm not saying this to undermine the talent of the people that work at these studios. I'm just saying that I find it more impressive and when I see a small team make a very successful indie game.
Number 17. All of your friends are on consoles, and that's likely to be on PlayStation because we know Xbox is pretty much dead now. So PlayStation 5 is where all your friends are going to be at. So why would you buy a gaming PC when all your friends are on PlayStation? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so the argument of emulation being illegal has been discussed many times. In a majority of cases, it is legal. You can emulate any game you want as long as it's no longer in production, or you have no way to buy it straight from the developers. So for a majority of games, emulation is perfectly legal, so don't worry about it. Go ham, guys.
Number 18. Delayed releases from multiplats make PC irrelevant. Do I even need to say anything about games like Grand Theft Auto 5? Wow. Number 19. Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow cannot be played on PC, and that's terrifying, because that's a sign that you never know what game you might never be able to play again on your PC. Because with Splinter Cell, there were some buggy things that went on in the Pandora Tomorrow version, on the PC version of Pandora Tomorrow, dealing with the shadows, I believe it was. And so nobody offers that to download. And since nobody uses, CD-ROMs anymore, really, the only way you can play Pandora Tomorrow is on a console. So, is PC future-proof? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. No, I know so. Actually, I know it's not future-proof.
So this is definitely a case-by-case situation, as many people have friends on different platforms. As for me, I have all my friends on PC. Meaning I don't have to worry about this issue, but for some people that may be different. However, this doesn't make PlayStation the superior console in any way. Also, Xbox is not dead, it's still very much alive as a matter of fact.
Kinda tied into that, number 20. Digital games can be removed from the store, but with discs, like you have on consoles, you don't have to worry about anything like that.
Wow, really gonna say you're gonna act like you can't emulate the game? And he just said himself there's no way to get it, meaning that emulating it would be completely legal. But God forbid he do some research for once.
Number 21. Amazon price matching. You can go to a retailer, and when Amazon has a crazy sale on a brand new game, you can match the price and get that game at a discount. But with PC, you have to wait for Steam summer sales to get old games.
No man, doesn't work that way. When you download a game, you have the files on your machine, and you can still access them whenever you want, unless the game has some sort of servers required to play, or you need an account in order to play. So, PlayStation does definitely not have a leg up in this area.
Number 22. PSN chats are amazing. They're simple, they're to the point, and you don't have to deal with the confusing nonsense with something like Discord, which is this unnecessary extra step. I mean, why would you want to deal with something like that? It just doesn't make any sense. It's just a hassle.
So clearly he's never gone shopping or heard of shopping for multiple products from different stores and providers in order to get the best deal on a product, because if he did, he would know that we can do that on PC. He would know that you can get CDs from, like people selling it online, because they don't really make CDs that much anymore, which is definitely unfortunate to some people on PC, and I would definitely say that's like one of the areas that console has a leg up, is that they still make games in discs. But you can also get the games digitally, you can get them from key stores, you can get them from Epic Games Launcher for free. There's a lot of places you can get your games from. So in terms of shopping for games, I think that PC is definitely above consoles.
Number 23. You don't get free PlayStation Plus games like you do on PlayStation. So if I want to go and play BioShock games remastered on the PlayStation 4 without paying for them, I can do that because they were free on PlayStation Plus. But if I want to play those games on PC, well, I have to buy them.
So he clearly doesn't agree with allowing people to choose what platform they want to use in order to communicate. Honestly, Discord is way better than PlayStation or Xbox party chats because you can create your own server and customize it with its own channels and roles and whatnot. You can also create custom emojis, which is just a nice touch, and you can just do a lot of things to make your server your own, And if Discord doesn't tickle your fancy, then you can just use something like Steam's built-in messaging and voice chat system, or Skype if you really must. Or if you're really a diehard Xbox party user, they have that with the Xbox app as well. You know, PC is really about options, and just about everything to do with PC, you have multiple options, so it's really up to the consumer, which is definitely a positive for PC.
Number 24. PlayStation 5 just has so much value, and Sony has given us so many great experiences. The value of a PlayStation console is just insane, and quite frankly, the price should be higher than $600 because we owe Sony. We need to give back to them. And so personally, I'm hoping that the PlayStation 5 is going to be at least $600. Before I said at least $500, now I've moved it up to $600 because they've given us some amazing experiences that are quite frankly priceless.
One, those games are not free because you're paying for them with that subscription you purchased, and two, Epic Games gives games away free monthly, and it's really free because you don't pay a single thing for any of these games. Not to mention other sites give away games for a massive discount, so you're also invalid here.
Number 25. If you're using some sort of web browser and you've got all these different tabs open, well, that's going to slow down your PC, and it's going to make the gaming experience less impressive.
Not if you don't have a shitty PC, and even then, most people that aren't boomers will know to close tabs they aren't using. It's really not that complicated.
Number 26. Hackers. Do I even need to say anything else?
Hackers are nowhere near as common or bad as people assume they are, as almost every online game has an anti-cheat of some kind that prevents it from happening, and really I've run into as many hackers on PC as people will assume I would. It's really not as common as you think, and console also has its fair share of hackers too, so it's really a problem on both sides. People who are bad at the game will always try to exploit things in it, or will always try to use hacks to give themselves an advantage. It's just kind of how it is.
Number 27. South Park proved how PC gamers are just weird nerds. I mean, you guys saw that episode. Cartman taking a massive diarrhea dump as he's playing on PC. That is the average PC gamer.
This is an awful stereotype that is blatantly untrue, and this can apply to people on console as well if you think about it. Majority of PC players are normal people, just like you or I. They just prefer a different platform.
Number 28. PC speakers can die out, leaving you with no sound, as opposed to a console where the sound comes right out of the TV.
My guy, does your brain even think about what you're going to say before you spit it out? PCs do not have speakers built in. Most of the time, people connect them to external audio devices like external speakers, surround sound systems, or headphones, just like with a console. You're coming up with lies in order to make your console seem better, and it's just shady and sad.
Number 29. As you're going to see with this video, PC gamers mass dislike videos that prove them wrong. They can't handle the truth.
Nah, you're just ignorant and people know you're spreading misinformation. Nice try though.
Number 30. PC gamers are in a cult. To them, they don't care about games. They don't care about how they come across to the general public as a bunch of weirdos. All they care about is that you present yourself as a PC elitist just like they do. And that's not ethical at all.
Nah, that's not true either. Why do you think people are so vocal about games that don't meet the standards that have been set by previous games? Or how we're so vocal about getting exclusives onto every platform, not just our own? Because we care about games, we want everyone to have a fun time. And society has realized that PC gamers are no different than the rest of gamers, so that just makes you look silly once again.
Number 31. PC gamers try to act tough by showing off the muscles of other PC gamers that work out. They can't accept the fact that they're a bunch of gaming nerds, and so they're like, oh, look at this one PC gamer who works out. See, he's jacked. See, we're not a bunch of losers. No, most of you are. Stop acting like one person who's a member of your community is representing the entire community.
You're literally doing the same thing you're telling us not to do. Either you're really not noticing what you're doing, or this is a shitpost. And honestly, I'm not sure which one it is at this point, but we're going to keep going anyways.
Number 32. PC games are boring walking simulators bus simulators, sleeping simulators. I mean, who wants to play stuff like that? PC gaming elitists, that's who. Man, it must be so much fun to play games like those at 4K and 195 frames per second. Number 33. Mouse and keyboard is inferior to a normal controller. Mouse and keyboard just does not work, you guys. The mouse is bound to not line things up quite the way you would want. I mean, it's not going to track perfectly, and so you have to experiment with all these different mouse pads, and none of them ever end up properly working. You know, on top of that, if you're just moving with pushing keys down on the keyboard, how can you control the speed of the walking if you're playing a game like Splinter Cell? I mean, you by default are walking faster than you would like to in many situations. Whereas with a controller, you can just lightly tilt the analog stick to do what you want, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Well, this simply isn't true at all. A mouse is objectively more accurate than a controller. You are using your whole arm to aim instead of just a single analog stick and your thumb. And if movement is such an issue, then just use a controller instead. Another benefit to PC is that you can use whatever controller you want with little to no issues.
Number 34. Mouse and keyboard is uncomfortable. You see, with mouse and keyboard, you need to have a particular type of posture. And oftentimes, that's hunched over, hurting your back. It's just not good. Whereas with a controller, you can just lean back, you can hold the controller however you want, you can sit up straight, you can do whatever you want with a controller, and you're comfortable.
I mean, you don't have to hunch over when playing with a keyboard mouse. In fact, you shouldn't be. It's bad for your back. You should sit up with your back straight. And once again, if your posture is really that bad, then you should just use a controller and sit however you want. Once again, you can use controllers on PC.
Number 35. Bloodborne is not on PC. Number 36. Apple, which is the superior desktop laptop company, does not offer a gaming PC because PC gaming is irrelevant.
Okay, Apple is definitely not the superior desktop and or laptop producer. They overprice their machines and put weak parts in them, so this entire argument is dumb, and they don't make gaming computers because that isn't what Apple is about. They specialize in more professional and business-like approaches when it comes to marketing, design, and the purpose for their machines.
Number 37. Madden is not on PC. And for football fans like myself, why would I bother with PC gaming?
Madden 21 is actually on PC though, but go ahead and continue.
Number 38. It's hard to stream on PC. You have to get all these different things set up, all this software and whatever. Whereas with a console, you know, with PlayStation in particular, you just click share and you can start streaming. It's not hard at all. It's very simple.
To stream on PC, all you have to do is download Streamlabs OBS, link it to your Twitch or YouTube, and start. And on PC, you can customize your stream overlays, change your settings in depth, etc. So streaming on PC is definitely superior, and that's probably the reason why you don't see too many major console streamers, and a lot of the major streamers are on PC.
Number 39. You have to be careful when cleaning your gaming PC, because it's so souped up that if you've got it plugged in while you're trying to clean the dust off, I mean, if a little bit of water seeps in there, the thing could end up blowing up.
My guy is really reaching already, and we aren't even halfway done yet. But anyways, getting water in your console isn't good either. In fact, it will probably damage your console just as bad as it would to a PC, because they're both very fragile devices.
Number 40. A PC can get infected by clicking the wrong email, and now all your personal information is gone. All your games are gone. You've been totally ruined.
Not really. There's this thing called an antivirus. Windows comes with one built in, and you can even buy a better and fancier one if you really need to. That and just having some common sense is enough protection, unless you're trying to do some shady stuff, in which case you'd probably already be informed enough to know to get a better protection service.
Number 41. Pop-up updates can distract you while you're gaming, and so you can end up losing out on that final kill, or losing out on whatever you could do at the very end in the objective to help your team win because the computer decided it needed to update something.
This doesn't happen ever. Notifications for updates just pop up in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and can easily be ignored. In fact, for most games you won't even get the notification until after you've closed the game. And auto updates only happen during times you are inactive on your computer. In fact, I would just recommend turning auto updates off on your PC as a whole.
Similarly, number 42, your printer accidentally could go off and cause you to die in game. I've had that happen before with an old printer that was getting, starting to act out on me. And I mean, if something like that happens in the middle of a game, shoot, you're done because it's just too distracting.
I doubt that ever really happened to you, and if you did get distracted by it that badly, your attention span must be really short. But nonetheless, printers don't accidentally go off, and if they do, that's the printer's fault, not the PC's.
Number 43. Mods are just plain unethical. There's no need for you to do the work of a developer and not do it up to the same quality as that developer would do it. I mean, it's just wrong. Let the developers do their job.
Dude, this doesn't even make any sense. Mods are not, quote-unquote, doing the developer's job, unless you're talking about certain situations, such as Dark Souls requiring a mod in order to play at a high frame rate. And no, modding is not unethical, it's completely fine. They're just simple add-ons made by fans for the game. And in the case of the Battlefield situation, yeah, it's pretty shitty, and a majority of us don't agree with that or stand by that, though.
Number 44. Similar to that, mods end up ripping off developers. For example, with Battlefield Bad Company 2's Vietnam DLC, you don't need to buy the DLC. People have modded the game so that you can play those maps without owning them. So, the developers miss out on a paycheck. Congratulations, PC gamers. Number 45. PC games don't get good support, as we saw recently with Red Dead Redemption 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Actually, you can send your PC to a shop in order to have them fix/diagnose the problem, and on that note, Windows has built-in tools that are able to help you figure out what the problem is, so you can fix it yourself for a cheaper cost.
Number 46. If your PlayStation 5 dies, all you have to do is call Sony and they'll deal with it. But if your PC dies, you get a blue screen of death, and quite frankly, you don't know what went wrong.
Dude, it is so blatantly obvious that you were reaching. So we don't actually know if GTA sold more on PS4 than PC. I could not find a source confirming this, but if you're able to, feel free to drop it in the comments. And secondly, COD usually does better on PlayStation because of all the exclusivity deals Sony and Activision make, which is not a good thing or a thing to be proud of, by the way.
Number 47. Games sell more on PlayStation, as we've seen with Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay, so I don't doubt that there are PC gamers out there that are overly defensive of their platforms, just like there are PS4 gamers out there that do the same. However, following your trend of hypocrisy, you continue to let the minority defend the majority, which you said people shouldn't do, yet you're doing it.
Number 48. PC gamers don't have a sense of humor. If you make fun of PlayStation, I can laugh at that. Nintendo fanboys can laugh when you make fun of Nintendo. Xbox fanboys even can laugh when you make fun of Xbox. But PC gamers are in a cult, like I said earlier. They just can't take a joke. They don't have a sense of humor, and I think it's sad, and quite frankly, they might end up dying from misery way too soon.
Anyways, guys, I'm not going to cover any more of this video. It's already gone on long enough, and I really don't think there's anything else you're going to add within the other half of this video. I was considering making a part 2, but I'm deciding on not, because I had so much development hell with making this video, and it just doesn't seem worth it to me to do it all over again for something that might not even come out as good. So yeah, with all that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. Do not spread hate whatsoever. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop a like, and if you're new, consider subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.